Hi, good afternoon, and welcome to my Tuesday afternoon conference call, podcast, whatever you guys want to call it. Some people said power hour with Dave. I don't care what you call it. I'm just here to add value to show you some things that I've learned and some opportunities that I've had. So yeah, I am here and. Looking to let me just share the screen really quick here. Hold on just a second. Okay, there we go. And you guys on Facebook should be able to see me now, sharing the screen here. Yeah, I skipped last week. I apologize about that. I was traveling. I'll be here. Obviously, I'm here today and next Tuesday as well. And looking forward to sharing with you what I have today. And as more people come in, you'll hear this beeping sound. And I'm just going to go ahead and mute everybody as they come in on phone calls. Welcome Facebook, welcome phone call. We're on YouTube. We're all streaming through a lot of different platforms right now. So yeah, thank you so much. Feel free to go ahead and like let people know that this call happens. It's a free call. Every Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern time. We have people from all over the country calling in, and just excited. I'm really super excited about what we're doing here and how we're adding value. Today, I want to speak to you about two of my favorite subjects combined into one, and that is leadership and DISC. For those of you that know me, DISC is super important to me. Let's see right there. Everything's backward on the screen. DISC, DISC. Um, that's my logo, but DISC is a study of personality, and it's an acronym for my logo. It's discover, improve, strengthen, and connect. That's what I do. That's what I help business owners do, is discover new ways of leadership and to improve their business and to strengthen their relationships among the company and to connect with everybody else in their ecosystem. And I think that is so important in today's climate, that we learn how to connect. With the things that have happened this past weekend, with the near assassination of President Trump, we have to learn how to connect with people that are different than us, that think differently than us, and they have to be open and we have to be open, but we have to learn how to connect. And so leadership and DISC is two of my favorite subjects. And so I decided to take you through a course that I teach. So this is something that people pay me a lot of money to come into their company and teach them. But I believe in this so strongly that I wanted to give this to you. It's a free training. So pretend that you paid me a lot of money to give you this training. We're going to go through it really fast. We don't have a lot of time. Typically, my trainings are all day. We only have an hour that I'm going to spend with you here today. So buckle up, put your seatbelts on, and let's go, because we're going to be speaking about some very, very important things. So let me just bring this up, and let's see, what am I doing here? Get this person in, and slideshow from the beginning, and hopefully you guys. Somebody on come unmute and or on Facebook, let me know if you can see the screen. There's a lot of moving parts on this thing, so I'm trying to make sure that we can all see the screen on Facebook. Let me just text or just look at it on Facebook myself to see what you guys are seeing. So Okay. All right, so it is not showing up on the screen here. So let me figure this out. Hang on just a second. Let me stop share and figure out what I did wrong. I thought I had this thing all figured out where I can share the screen and show you the PowerPoint on Facebook Live. So let's see, we're sharing the screen. There we go. Here we go. Now we should be able to see it. Nope, we're still not seeing it. Okay. Share the screen. Now I think we've figured this thing out. All right, guys, I apologize on figuring this thing out. Let's see if I can do this. Present, share screen, window. Well, evidently this thing does not want me to share what I'm trying to share here. I was really excited about this, but let me just figure this thing out really quick. Hang on just a second. Entire screen. Okay, that might make sense. Share. Yeah, it says Chrome has lost permission to share my screen. So, well, share. This is kind of embarrassing. Have people from Kenya, and Gerald Miller is watching, and I can't get to see seem to get my screen shared here. So let's see what is going on. Okay, so this. All right, that's not working either. Well, guys, I don't know what to tell you. I apologize. Let's see. I think I have to share that screen. And now, okay, I think I got it figured out. All right, guys, if you're just now logging in, I'm having some technical difficulties. I'm trying to figure out how to share my screen with you, and it is not wanting to allow that because I really want to show you what I'm talking about here. And I'm just not, doesn't look like I'm able to do that, what I wanted to do. So we may have to just do it without the sharing the screen. So let me just try something one more time. Slides. You have no slides, so that's not what I want. Share screen. Okay, well, I'm just going to make a decision not to show the screen. I thought I had it all figured out how to do it, but it is not wanting to let me do this. So I do apologize for that. And so let's just go ahead and get into it without it. I wanted to speak to you about DISC and leadership. And so let me get everything lined up here again. I know there's a way to make this thing work, but I just was not able to get it done. So yeah, what I wanted to share with you today is DISC and leadership and how it combines and I'm going to have to still look at my slides though. So let me pull that up. And go through that with you. Okay, so I think you guys can still see me. I can see the PowerPoint. You can't. So I apologize about that. But What I wanted to share with you was that in leadership, the hardest thing about leadership is simply leading and learning how to lead and leading people. And so there's three key points. Number one, the hardest thing about leadership is leading. Number two, leadership is not getting other people to do the right things. Leadership is getting yourself to do the right things. So John Maxwell says everything rises and falls on leadership. And so I believe that to be very, very true, that everything rises and falls on leadership. And so leadership is not about getting other people to do what you want them to do. It's about getting yourself what you need to be doing. Okay. Number three, it is often harder to lead yourself than it is to lead other people. How many of you would agree with that statement that sometimes it's easier to get other people to do the right thing than for you to do the right thing? And I find that in my leadership as well. But those are the three key things that I want you to pay attention to. The hardest thing about leading is leading. Leadership is not easy. There's a quote out there. I'll probably mess it up a little bit, but it says something about if you want to be a leader and please everybody, you should be selling ice cream instead of trying to be a leader, because you can't please everybody with your leadership. And my dad used to tell me this. He said, if you're extremely popular as a leader, you're not doing something correctly with everybody. If you're extremely popular with everybody, you're not doing something properly in leadership. So just the fact that leadership is hard, and getting yourself to do the right thing, and then also understanding that it's harder to lead yourself than other people. So there are four things that we want to cover today, and this is talking about emotional intelligence. So we know what an IQ is. It's the measurement of the intelligence of your brain. That's IQ. EQ is the measurement of the emotional intelligence of you, the emotional part. And there's four parts. Number one, there's the self-awareness. It's the part of knowing yourself. It's a part of knowing yourself. You understand your behaviors. You see yourself for who you are. You have an accurate picture of both your strengths and your weaknesses. Okay, so being self-aware of who you are and how you are is the first part of emotional intelligence. Okay, we all have blind spots. I think we all would recognize that we have blind spots, and we need to understand what those blind spots are. And so I would encourage all of you as leaders, if you're leading a business, if you're leading a family, if you're leading a church, if you're leading an organization, really take a good look at who you are. My friend Luke Kipfer says that every great leader has both a mirror and a window. And when things are going well, the leader moves over to the window and looks out over his team and says, wow, what a team. I couldn't do it without them, and really praises outward. But when things are not going well, that leader moves from the window and goes to the mirror and says this: mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me everything, tell me all. And it's an introspective look on your leadership and who you are, because I believe everything rises and falls on leadership. Okay. And so the second thing, there's four parts of emotional intelligence. The second part is self-control, having the ability to control your reactions and your responses. And that takes discipline. So you control your responses. You do the right thing at the right time, for the right reason, in the right way. You are responsible for your actions, and that takes discipline and self-control. So first of all, self-awareness. Second of all, self-control. And then thirdly, it's the social awareness. And this is where knowing others comes into play. So the first two are about yourself. The second two is about other people. So social awareness, knowing others. So a social aware person understands other people and understands the fact that they are not like me. You can read a situation, understand how others might feel or react. In other words, you have empathy towards other people. You're able to see into other people's feelings and reactions. That's the third one. The fourth one is social skill. And this is where we talk about connecting with each other. This is how we relate to each other and communicate to each other, and that's what DISC is really all about. But leadership is a combination of these four things: knowing yourself, knowing others, being social aware, and also having the social skill of connecting with each other. You know how to create a climate or engineer an environment when you have social skill. You know how to adjust my behavior to fit the situation. In other words, you're able to adapt. So if you think about behavior, behavior is what people see. You can't see my personality. You can only see the behavior that I exhibit. Behaviors are outside. It's what you can see. Needs are what drives those behaviors. So when you have a kid acting out in school or in your home, or an employee acting out, we want to fix the outside. We want to fix the behavior. But a great leader will think, what are the needs that this person has that is driving that certain behavior? So we want to look a little bit at external behaviors. There were a lot of external behaviors today, and a little bit of internal needs. Now, next week, we're going to really focus on the internal needs. And I hope I can get my technology thing figured out before next week. But so I want you to understand that everything that you do, every behavior that you exhibit, everything that people see you do comes from a need from within. And a good leader will always look in here instead of the outside and say, what can I do to provide a need for the people that I lead? Okay. So I really want us to understand that, that very well. So I'm going to go ahead and create this slideshow and get this thing going here just a little bit faster here. So let me fast forward the slide and get to where I can show you. So what you do is behaviors, and that's on the outside. How and why you do it is needs, and that's internal. It's inside of you. And so we're going to take a good look at why people do what they do. And, you have to understand the model of human behavior. You have to understand DISC. And next week, we're going to really talk about the facets of life. And so the facets is what shows up. It's how you do what you do and why you do what you do. So we're going to look at how you interact with your industry, your interactions with others, your relationships with others, your cognitive abilities, how you control situations and ideas, and how you identify problems and figure things out, and your identity as a person. So that's next week. But this week, we're simply going to be looking at the model of human behavior and having a deeper understanding of behavior, which is outside, which is DISC. So there's two questions that I'm going to ask of you today. Number one, the first question is, are you more outgoing or reserved? Are you more outgoing or reserved? Outgoing people tend to speak and move with high levels of energy. Even their gestures and facial expressions have more passion or expression than the more reserved individuals do. Now, we're not going to get political here today, but I want you to think of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a very outgoing person. His facial expressions and gestures, he's a man of passion. Love him or hate him, he is a very outgoing person. The second part of this equation, am I more outgoing or reserved? Reserved people tend to speak more quietly, less forcefully. Their gestures and facial expressions seems a little bit more guarded or reflective than the expressions of the outgoing individuals. So a reserved individual is a lot more reflective, more guarded. I think it's interesting when my wife plays cards, she has her cards here in her hand, close to her chest, and her other hand is here guarding the cards, making sure nobody actually can see it. So that is the difference between outgoing and reserved. And just a couple more points here. Outgoing or active people, they tend to be just a little bit more fast-paced, involved, energetic, optimistic, positive, enthusiastic. They like to talk things out. They like to make sure that they are talking as they process. See, I'm convinced Donald Trump does not know what he's thinking until he hears himself say it. He is not a reflective person. He's a very forward person. He's a very he thinks by speaking. All right. Now, a reserved person or even a more passive individual is going to tend to be a little more slower paced, cautious, concerned, reluctant, maybe critical thinking and discerning, and they think things through. They think and then speak. Whereas an outgoing person like myself and Donald Trump and other outgoing people, we think by talking. It makes sense for us to hear ourselves explain our thoughts. And if you're not that way, it probably seems weird. But if you are that way, you're saying, yeah, that's what I do. And it makes sense to us. And so it's not right or wrong. It's just different. We all need each other. And so the second question that I want you to ask about yourself, the first one is, are you more outgoing or reserved? The second one is, am I more task-oriented or people-oriented? Now, task-oriented people tend to focus more on the job to be done or the goal to be accomplished. They seem to be less influenced by the opinions of others. In other words, they don't care what you think, just get it done. And they're more logic-based or matter-of-fact in their approach. On the other hand, people-oriented individuals, they tend to enjoy the company of others and seem to focus on people as being the priority rather than the project or task at hand. They seem to be more influenced by the opinions of others. In other words, hey, what do you think? We'd like to have your input on this. Come over here. Less fact-based and more feeling-oriented or emotional. Okay, so let's dig in a little bit more between the task-oriented and the people-oriented individuals. Task-oriented individuals they tend to be more about your forms, functions, programs, plans, projects, processes. How do we get this job done? That's their focus, is getting things done and reaching their goals. The people-oriented individuals, however, are all about relationships, caring, sharing, emotions, feelings, friendships. They focus on the feelings and opinions of others more than they focus on task. Okay? Again, it's not right or wrong. It's just different. And so we have to I think I may have figured out why my thing's not working here. Let me see. I think I just figured it out. Anyway, I'll keep going here because I don't want to spend a lot of time figuring this thing out for you. So yeah, the task-oriented people, are let me just pull this up. So here we go. And so we'll keep. I just want to make sure everything is going live. Can you guys still see me? Let me know on Facebook if you guys can see me okay. So anyway, when you put this whole model together, you're able to, and I really wish you guys could see it because that didn't work either. But when you put this model together, you'll see outgoing is at the top, reserved at the bottom, task and people, and it creates a model here. And so the D types are what we call the outgoing and task-oriented person. So that's why it's important to ask yourself, do you actually, hang on. There we go. You still can't see it, but it makes more sense on my end. So more people are coming in. I appreciate all of you guys coming in on the call. And so yeah, the D types, they're very dominant, decisive, and dogmatic, and we call them the terminators. They like to terminate things. They like to they really like to make sure that things are getting done. They make sure that the results are finished, and they're making sure that it is terminated. They love a challenge. The I type is what we call the inspiring types. These are the inspiring, inducing, impressionable, the fun-loving people, and we call those the rejuvenators. They bring life. They're very fun-loving, and yeah. And then we have the S-type personality. These are the reserved but people-oriented. These are the supportive, steady, and stable kinds of personalities. They make weird sounds like this. Aw, oh my. They're very empathetic, and we call them the accommodators. They like to accommodate other people. They like to make sure other people are okay. And then we have the C-type personality, and these are the cautious, calculating, competent, critical thinking, careful, cognitive, and we call those the calculators. They're the ones that they live in their brains. They think all the time. That's what their strength is. And so the D types again are terminators, the I types are the rejuvenators, then the S type is the accommodators, and the C types are what we call the calculators. Now, every single one of you is a unique blend of those four parts. So you have some D, some I, S, and C in you. But if you ask yourself those two questions, am I more outgoing or reserved? Question number one. Question number two, am I more task oriented or people? And if you know the model, and that's why I wish you could see it, you can say which is your predominant highest one. I am a very outgoing and task-oriented person. So I'm what we call a D. That is my primary one, but my I is just as high. So I'm very outgoing. I will always be outgoing, but I'm very task-oriented and very people-oriented as well. So I'm what we call a DI. Anyway, moving on, and I would just want to share a few more things with you. So the D types can be described with words like dominant, direct, demanding, decisive, determined, and doer. That would be Donald Trump. And we call those people, they're oriented around results. They want to get it done. Make it happen, Captain. Get me to the finish line as quickly as possible. And then you have the I type. These are the inspiring, influencing, impressionable, interactive, interested in people, the fun-loving people, and their orientation is around recognition. They like to recognize other people, and they like when people recognize themselves. They love interaction. And then you have the S type. We're just going deeper into each one of the or personality styles. The S types can be described with words like supportive, steady, stable, sweet, sensitive, and status quo. But these people are all about relationships. They love relationships. They want to make sure other people are okay. They take care of them before they take care of themselves. That's why everybody loves S's. The C types, they can be described with words like cautious, calculating, competent, consistent, contemplative, careful. And they're all about being right. They want things to be right and correct. And so they're all about things being right. Okay. If you're on Facebook, please share this video, even though my technology isn't working the way I wanted it to, but a lot of good information going to come up here in this talk. And so let's see. Come on, you can move it. Let's go. There we go. So we're going to take a deep dive into the D's now, the D type. The dominant individuals do. It's what they do. They're outgoing and task oriented. Key descriptors: dominant, direct, decisive. Their needs. Okay, I want y'all to get this. This is their fuel that they have to have in order for them to be productive and meaningful in society. They have to have a certain amount of choices, challenge, and control. And if they don't get those three, or if they only get two out of those three, their engine is not going to run as efficiently as possible. And so their fuel is made up of three ingredients: choices, challenge, and control. And it's so important that we understand that when we're leading a team or leading a person that is a high D, we have to understand, hey, we have to lead this person differently than what I would, as you'll see with the other three coming up. And also, if you are a high D leader, your people need to understand, yeah, that person needs choices, challenge, and control. High Ds naturally lead with tenacity, drive, and energy. Okay. So they're very, very dominant. I want you to think of a Doberman Pinscher when you think of a high D. I want you to think of something very powerful, very strong, something that doesn't give up easily. So high Ds expect other people to accept responsibility. They expect you to do whatever it takes to get the results. When a high D is operating in their greatest leadership strengths, they will delegate appropriately, confront issues effectively, not ineffectively, because a lot of times when they're out of control, they confront issues ineffectively. But when they are in their greatest leadership strength, when they're under control, they confront issues effectively. They complete enormous amounts of work. They provide vision and goals, and they make things happen. So we talked a little bit about blind spots. Every single one of us has blind spots. You may not know what they are, but other people do. And so the high Ds might have these leadership blind spots, delegating tasks, but keeping control. How many of you have ever been delegated a task to do, but then the person that delegated it to you is there watching with a microscope, and he or she might be like not letting you have your way of doing it. In other words, they give it to you, but they keep control. Number two, they decide before getting enough details. See, every human being has a processor, just like every computer has a processor. Some are fast, some are slow. High Ds tend to have a very fast processor. They're able to process things, and they're able to decide very quickly on very little information. And sometimes high Ds would be better off getting more details before making a decision. And I think that's important for us to understand. The third one that they might have a leadership blind spot is going to be ignoring relationship issues. In other words, they're so focused on the result that they may not see an individual that is having an issue with relationships. And they'll, if they see them, they might say something like, "Hey, let's get to the result, and then we'll fix your relationship issues." Okay, so the result is pretty key here for the high D. High Ds, they get better results when they let other people have control over their own actions. In other words, don't try to control everybody. That's one of the fuels that a high D needs is to have control. They might get better results when they slow down and collect information before deciding. And they might get better results if they focus on building relationships. To me, that is so important that we build relationships. And I tell my clients this all the time. If they're a high D, slow down to speed up. And that, I think we need to hear that sometimes. So we want to look at some issues that might cause a high D stress. Feeling taken advantage of. And if you look at Trump, I told you we're not going to get political here, but I'm strictly looking at personality and his behavior. He fears being taken advantage of. He does not like, number two, facing a no-win situation. In other words, when he's cornered, or when a high D is cornered and has no choice, that's not a good place to be as a high D, facing a no-win situation. And they also stress being disrespected causes a high D to have stress. To high Ds, these issues feel like a loss of control, and we know that's one of their fuels. So high Ds, they tend to relieve stress with physical activities. For example, exercise, doing something, working on a project, building something, tearing it down, just doing something makes a high D feel good. Now let's look at the high I type. And appreciate all of you guys being on the call here for sure. And especially Facebook. Thank you for hanging in on me, even though the screen's not working the way I wanted it to. Even though you can see me, I was hoping you could see the PowerPoint. So the I types, these are the inspiring individuals. And here's what they do because they're outgoing and people-oriented. Their key descriptors is inspiring, influential, and interesting. Okay, so their needs or their fuel, every person has a fuel, things that they need in their life so that they can behave properly. And if they don't get what they like, they're not going to behave properly. Now, I don't mean behaving like behave yourself. I'm talking about their behavior, what they do and how they act. So they need recognition, approval, and popularity if you're a high I. High I's naturally lead with inspiration, enthusiasm, and humor. High I's expect other people to relax and lighten up, go with the flow, be more flexible, okay? Because that's how they are. When operating in their greatest leadership strengths, high I's provide inspiration and fun. It's fun to work for a high I. It's great to be in following a high I leader. Okay, we're going to look at their blind spots, but they're fun. They bring life to the party. And when operating in their greatest leadership strengths, high I's provide inspiration and fun, encourage people, help people see a better future, bring new ideas and fresh approaches, and lighten tense situations. To me, it's so important that we understand the differences of personalities if we're trying to be a leader. All right. High I's might have these leadership blind spots, focusing on talking rather than doing. Man, if there's a skill that every high I has, it's opening their mouth and words just coming out. They have this ability to talk. And so a high I might have these leadership blind spots of focusing on talking rather than doing, being unorganized, and then lacking direction. In other words, they're easily swayed off to something brighter or something more exciting. And I think high I's would do well to stay focused. High I's have more fun when they focus on results. High I's have more fun when they organize their work and thoughts, and they also have more fun when they move consistently towards a few key goals. Not a lot of them, a few. The tendency of a high I is to be scattered and, oh, that looks like fun, but man, I want to do this too. And they tend to be all over the place. And so they might have more fun at work and in leadership if they focus on just a few key goals. Now let's look at issues that cause stress for a high I, and that is feeling that people don't like them, being overwhelmed with details, and highly structured environments. They're free agents, they're free will. They don't like to have a highly structured environment. To high I's, these issues feel like a loss of fun or popularity. That's one of their fuels. High I's relieve stress with social activities. For example, talking on the phone, going out to eat, going to the ball games, interacting with friends, inviting friends over, more social activities. Now, I want to talk about the S type and what supportive individuals do. And again, this is reserved and people-oriented individuals. These are the nicest people in the world. So the D's are the terminators, the I's are the rejuvenators, the S's are the accommodators. They like to accommodate. And so the key descriptors: supportive, stable, and steady. Their fuel, their need, what they need in their life in order for their behavior to be acceptable is they need appreciation, security, and assurance. They got to have it. They got to have it so they can live off of it, so that they can also give it away. Appreciation, security, and assurance. High S's naturally lead with encouragement. I believe in you. I know you can do it. I'll even help you do it. That's how they lead. They lead with encouragement, support, and affirmation. High S's expect other people to be nice, to be helpful, supportive to the team. They want you to be nice. They don't like confrontation. They don't like sarcasm. They want you to be nice. When operating in their greatest leadership strengths, high S's build strong relationships. They help people resolve conflicts. They create a warm, inviting environment. They support their people, and they feel what is happening with people. In other words, they feel it even sometimes before they see it. So a high S leader might come up to you and say, I don't know, but I just sense something is off on you today. Or did something happen? They feel it before they can actually see it. High S's might have these leadership blind spots. Number one, avoiding confrontation, even when it's needed. They're not wired to confront, they're wired to support. And so avoiding confrontation when it's needed can be a very difficult thing for an S. Number two, being indecisive. Fear of consequence for a wrong decision. Sorry, got a little tickle in my throat. Number three, becoming overwhelmed, then shutting down or withdrawing. High S's feel more harmony when they use their calm nature to address conflicts. Also, when they express what they are thinking and feeling, not suppressing it, but expressing it. When they make a decision and act on it. A lot of times S's will make a decision and then second guess themselves and make sure that it's the right decision, but they'll have more harmony when they make a decision and act on it. Here's some issues that cause stress for high S's. Multiple high priorities with short deadlines. I mean, that to me, as a high D, gets my motor going. I love multiple priorities with short deadlines. That means I got to go. That gives me energy, but it wears an S out. Number two, conflict. And number three, confrontation. Those are the things that causes stress for an high S. And when that kind of stress happens, it feels like risk or loss of security, like it's a high risk situation or they're losing the security that they like. And so high S's relieve stress with what we call undirected activities, such as just laying in bed, relaxing, no agenda, watching movies. It's just something that doesn't take effort, and it's more of just a mindless, let's just veg out, is what a high S, how they relieve stress. All right, the last one we're going to look at is the cautious type. We're going to look at what they do. These are the reserved and task-oriented individuals, and the key descriptors are cautious, calculating, competent. That describes them. And here is their fuel. This is what they need: quality answers, value, and excellence. Quality answers, value, and excellence. They have to have it. My wife is a high C. She has to have quality answers, value, and excellence in her life. When she asks me a question, she wants quality answers. Not like if she asks me how my day is, she wants to know how my day is or was. Like every detail. What did you do? Who did you talk to? What did they say? When I asked how my wife's day was, all I really need was a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Okay? I don't need to know the details. But for a high C, that is very, very important for the high C. High C's naturally lead with rules, procedures, and guidelines. It has to be right. We talked about that earlier. Their world revolves around right. It has to be correct. Has to be perfection. High C's expect other people to focus, follow the rules, and be logical, right? My wife has accused me of my dreams are way in the clouds. Okay. Said, oh, your dreams are in the clouds again. You're not being realistic. You are not being logical. And I'm telling her, just go with it, man. It's fun to be in the clouds. And she rolls her eyes. When operating in their greatest leadership strengths, high C's are very analytical. They notice what can go wrong before it actually does. They think logically. They see the details and they listen before they speak. They're gatherers, and so that they can speak. High C's might have these leadership blind spots. And again, I say might. Ignoring people issues. Or what I mean by that, ignoring people's feelings. It's all about the facts to a high C. These are your doctors, lawyers, engineers, architects, accountants. It's all about the facts. They also tend to be procrastinating on taking action, and that's because they don't have enough information to make a decision to keep going. All right. And also being too picky or perfectionist. High C's get greater value when they are more flexible with people. They move from analysis to action, and they recognize that good enough is actually good enough. It's important that they understand that it does not always have to be perfect. All right, guys, we appreciate you coming on Facebook. I really do. Please share this if you can, share this out to all of your friends. I'd like to get this message out, so I appreciate all of you on Facebook. And also we have a lot of people on the phone lines as well. All right, let's keep moving. High C's. This is what causes stress for a high C. Inconsistency, illogical actions, and people violating principles or not following the rules. Inconsistency, illogical actions, violating principles. Okay? That causes stress. And notice this, all of those things are directed when other people aren't consistent. Other people aren't logical. Other people violate principles. So in my classes, when I teach DISC, I spend more time on the D's and the C's than I do the I's and the S's. And it's simply because the D's and the C's, they are much more critical of other people than the I's and the C's are. And therefore, they hurt people's feelings more than the I's and the S's, I should say. The D's and the C's tend to hurt other people's feelings more than the I's and the S's. So when these stresses happen, to high C's, view these issues as a violation of integrity or trust. Like when you're inconsistency, they move from trusting to not trusting pretty quickly. When you're not logical, they look at that and say, I would never partner with that person. I would never want to work with that person because he or she is illogical. When you violate principles or break the rules, not happening, says the high C. I don't want to have anything to do with you because it's a violation of integrity to them and it breaks down trust. High C's relieve stress with cognitive activities such as thinking, processing, doing puzzles, alone time, or reading. So we're going to just kind of recap everything and close this thing down pretty quickly here. High D's lead directively and with power. Okay. High I's lead inspirationally and people oriented. It's with people. It's saying, hey, imagine what we could do if we'd all get our heads together and let's go. Let's make this thing happen. High S's lead supportively with pace. It's a pace. It's a consistent pace. It's not a fast. It's not slow. It's a pace. High C's lead carefully, but with procedures. Here's the rules. You do as I say, or you'll be fired. Okay. They lead very carefully with procedures. So remember, DISC only describes what you do. And that's what self-awareness is all about. And it also describes what other people do, and that's social awareness. Here's 3 keys for you to keep in mind as we close. Every personality style has both strengths and weaknesses and blind spots. Number 2, everyone can learn and grow to become a more dynamic and effective leader. Everyone, if you're an I, a D, I, S, or a C, it doesn't matter. You can grow to become a more dynamic and effective leader. And leadership at work is about developing yourself. This is the booklet that I'm looking off of. It's about developing yourself. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So think about the fact that every great leader has a window and a mirror. A window is where the leader goes when things are going well, and he looks out on his team and says, I couldn't do it without them. I'm so blessed with great people. That's where the leader goes when things are going well. But when things are not going well, a great leader always moves from the window over to the mirror and says, mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me everything, tell me all. It's an introspective look at who they are. Everything rises and falls on leadership. I have people hiring me to come coach their business all the time, thinking that I'm going to find that the problem is their people. I have yet to find where there was a great leader and the problem was the people. I have yet to find a company where the problem is the people. It is always the leader. So don't hire me as a business coach if you have thin skin. Don't hire me as a business coach if you think that the problem is your employees. Everything rises and falls on leadership. And so, yeah, I do understand the fact that employees do wrong things, that they mess up and they're not paying attention. I get that, but whose fault is it? Yours. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to help you understand that everything rises and falls on leadership. And until we as leaders take 100% responsibility on everything that happens within our company, we're giving other people the power. But when we say, you know what, mirror, mirror on the wall, tell me everything, tell me all, that's when you start really understanding who you are and how you are. And that's when leadership can really start happening. So I do want to invite you to a free strategy call with me. I would invite you to let's see, where is my screen? But anyway, I lost my screen. There's technical difficulties here today, but I want to invite you to a free strategy call. If you're a business owner and you're facing challenges, whether it's anything in your business, whether marketing or relationships or leadership or sales, I want to offer you a free 30-minute call with me. And the number to call is 941-759-3494. And I would love to be able to connect with you and to share with you. So 813-580-8920. I gave you my cell phone number. Don't call me on my cell phone number. Call this one. 813-580-8920 to schedule a free call. And I'd love to connect with you there. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.